Welcome to Nature's Alchemy, and I'm Karen Squillante. I invite you to come into Nature's Alchemy, where we explore natural healing with crystals, plants, and herbalism, essential oils, and the many ways that Mother Earth provides for our healing and well-being. So this is class number 5, and today I have a pretty interesting lesson. We're going to do a little bit of science because I believe that science and spirituality really do go together. And so I would like to introduce a little physics, basically physics, a little bit of chemistry, but mostly physics. So it's not going to be a hard lesson, but it's really good to have this side of crystals. That's what I'm talking about. Sorry. Okay, so Chris, I want to give a little bit of history, and then we're going to go into some geology, and then into some physics, and the lesson gets pretty interesting. So crystals have been used for healing for thousands of years. I mean, thousands of years. I mean, like the Lemurians, the Atlanteans, Egyptians, the the Indians, the Chinese, the Aborigines, Australians, Native Americans. I mean, the South American cultures. I mean, the list goes on and on. Everyone used crystals in their lifestyles and in healing. And so we have this ancient knowledge that's been passed down to us. Because sometimes people ask, well, how do you know that this does that? Well, a couple of reasons. One is that there's traditional meanings, people that have been using meanings for these particular crystals for millennia, and then there are those who spend time with their crystals, and they share what their crystal had for them. So that's a way to get that's a way to figure out how crystals help, or what they do for us, or what they do in quotes. Okay, so um, it said that that over by the pyramids, one of the pyramids floor has is all quartz crystal, and they said that they used that for healing. So they would bring people to the crystal floor and lay them on the floor, and the crystal floor would heal them. Native Americans used them for shaman stones. Um, they all only were required, acquired if they were gifts. So shaman stones were given to you. It was like saying, "Here, I believe in your gifts. Here's these are healing stones." That's what they use them for. So there are close to 5,000 minerals that we know of, and that's a lot of minerals, and officially recognized. Now they're discovering more and more all the time. They're coming out with a lot of interesting names that a lot of people have never heard of before. So many more have been discovered in the last 100 years, but we don't really need to know all of them. Okay, it's actually better to be more familiar with, say, 30 to 50 stones than it is to be just acquaintances with 100 or 150. So this way, because if you are familiar with that many stones, you can pretty much kill anything that you need to kill. So that's a really good bonus for crystals. So the geologists, they identify a crystal with 5 characteristics, and they, of course, scientists love acronyms. So their acronym for proving that a crystal is a crystal, according to them, is SNIF. SNIFC, as in Charlie, SNIF. And so I'm going to tell you what those mean. And then we're going to go through a few different items to determine whether they're crystalline or not, according to the geologist. So the first one, S, signifies solid at room, or excuse me, at ambient temperature, which means that where you are, depending on where you are on the earth, whether it be hot or very, very hot or very cold, the crystal, the item has to be solid at that temperature. Okay. N signifies naturally occurring, not man-made. So you can't have like an opalite or a man-made diamond. the geologists don't consider them crystals. They consider themselves man-made. So the next one, I, is inorganic, not from a living organism. So that rules fossils. Anything that from trees or insects, things like that, mollusks, all that kind of stuff. Anything that's a fossil is not considered a crystal. And then the last one, F, is fixed composition. Now, fixed composition is a definite chemical formula, like quartz is SiO2, or one molecule of silicon and two molecules of oxygen. Okay, so that is a crystalline formula. And its crystalline formula is throughout the whole thing. It's homogeneous. So no matter how you slice it, it's always going to have the same crystalline formula, right? Whether it's a little teeny molecule or it's a big slab. Excuse me, there's a little bug that's bugging me. Okay, so let's go through a few items and determine whether they, according to the geologists and their SNF acronym, whether they're crystals or not. So the first one we're going to talk about is wood, and of course wood is inorganic, so it wouldn't be considered a crystal. Okay, so since organic, that would be a no. The next one is gold. Gold is a mineral. It's solid at the ambient temperature. It's naturally occurring. It's inorganic and has a fixed composition, just G. Gold. Excuse me, AU. Sorry. But anyway, AU. So that's what gold is. So gold is considered a crystal. Okay, fossil. Now we talked about this just a moment ago. Fossils are made from organic material. Fossils are usually either dead animals that have fallen into the sand and then compacted over thousands of years, or fallen into tree sap, and then the tree sap gets mineralized or agatized, so it becomes hard, and quartz takes over the sap, so it becomes a mineral. But because it started out being organic, sap comes from trees, then it would not be considered a crystal. Okay, of course, amber is gorgeous, and oh man, wearing a nice big piece of amber is such a treat. Now, another one is rough topaz. Now, topaz is a mineral, yes, because it has a fixed composition. It's solid, the ambient temperature. It occurs naturally. It's inorganic, and it has a crystalline atomic structure. Okay, topaz has a specific crystalline formula, and I'm sorry I didn't write that down, but you can look that up. I'm sure any website about crystals will tell you. Stop it, little bug. Get away, this little bug. Okay, another one is granite. Now, that's interesting because granite is made up of minerals, but it's made up of many different kinds of minerals. So it doesn't have a regular atomic crystalline structure. So, in other words, like it has more than one mineral in it. So if you were to slice it, you would see like a feldspar, a quartz, a calcite, and those little pieces would be in there, but the whole rock or the whole piece is not homogeneous. So you can't just break it down to the least little molecule and say, yeah, this is granite, because granite's made up of many minerals. So it would be considered a rock and not a crystal. All right, and then we'll just go over one more, black obsidian. Now, obsidian is kind of an interesting critter because obsidian is a volcanic glass, and so it's quartz. It's because it comes from lava, so it comes up out of the middle of the earth, but it cools down so quickly that it's silicon dioxide doesn't have a chance to form in a crystalline structure, so it becomes glass. So it's a volcanic glass, and because glass, when when they make glass and they cool down glass, they cool it down fairly rapidly, and so glass doesn't have a chance to form into silicon dioxide and whatever other minerals they put in there. So, um, so when you break glass, it has those really sharp edges, and with obsidian, it's the same thing. It cleaves or breaks just like glass does. So it is not considered a mineral. All right, so we'll move on and talk about the difference between a crystal and a stone. Now, crystals have that atomic structure throughout, and it can be seen under a microscope. Some can be seen with the naked eye, like quartz or garnet. Fluorite comes in little octahedrons, like two little pyramids stuck together, and those are pretty cool. You can get pretty fairly big ones, about like that, and those are natural. And those are called macrocrystalline, which means that their crystalline structure is big. You can actually see, like if you look down a quartz point, you can actually see the structure of the crystalline structure on the outside of the crystal. It takes the shape. Pretty interesting. Garnet's the same way. Garnet looks like a dodecahedron, like if you have kids and they play with dice, those big sets of dice, and you get the one that has the 20 sides, or well, 8. I think it's 12 sides or 8 sides, something. It's 12 sides. And you can see like a garnet crystal will have those flat sides and look kind of like a soccer ball. It's really cool. So some crystals are microcrystalline, which means that you can't see the crystalline structure except under the microscope. So when you, excuse me 1 second. And a lot of jaspers are like that. Like if you can't see through it, if it's not clear, like quartz is clear, fluoride is clear, you can see through those minerals. Even garnets, you can't really see, you can't see through them. Garnets are, can be clear. But these are like rose quartz, aventurines, all the aventurines, you can't really see through them. Some of them are translucent, like you can see sunlight come in, and those are what you call chalcedony. And it's most people mispronounce it and say chalcedony, but it's really chalcedony. So that's spelled Chalcedony. All right, so that's it. These are types of minerals, but these are all microcrystalline quartz. Okay, so you can't really see through them, but they still have the. If you go down to microscopic level, they still have the quartz crystalline structure. So stones are a mixture of minerals and elements and are all not homogeneous, okay, under a microscope. So, and many of those, little clumps can be seen through the naked eye, like granite's a really good example. I'm sure everyone's seen a piece of granite on a countertop or, on the side of the road, you live in the north and you live in the mountains, then you would see that. So, okay. So that's the difference. So how do crystals help us heal? Now this is pretty interesting. It is a lot more science for you. So crystals help us by aligning our chakras. Now your chakras, you have many chakras around your body. I mean, every joint, every organ has a chakra, but we're going to talk about the 7 major ones, and those are starting at the tailbone, which is the root chakra, which is our first chakra, and then they go up 7 to the crown, which is the 7th chakra. Now, I know a lot of people are familiar with chakra system. I didn't plan on delving into it right now, but basically, you have energy centers, or as they spin, they look like little hurricanes or vortexes, and they come out of your body in like in this kind of shape. So one of your crown goes up, the one at your tailbone goes down towards the root or the Mother Earth's core, which is her root chakra, and the rest of them go forward and backward out of your. And remember, your chakras are also go out the back of you, not just the front of you. So a lot of people don't know that. But what crystals do is they help balance those energy centers. Okay, and then the other thing that they do is they change our frequencies, and we all vibrate at specific levels. and I'm going to get into that in just a little bit. But uh, and also crystals can be used as a vibratory tool, okay, to help with our emotions and physical healing, vibrationary tool, okay. So now, as far as changing our frequencies, okay, now crystals are oscillators, which means they vib- they vibrate. They go really quick, really, really fast, okay, and they cause you to vibrate or have a frequency also. Now, just to let you know how fast they go, is quartz vibrates at over 32,000 megahertz, closer to 38, 33. So that's really fast. Now, 1 megahertz, now one hertz, okay, 1 hertz is one vibration, up, down, okay. Megahertz is 1,000 of those, okay, and we're talking per second. That's how fast we're talking, just 1,000 of those. Okay, so quartz vibrates at over 32,000 of those per second. That's very fast. So I personally consider crystals as light beings because they vibrate that fast. Okay, because most other things in the 3D world only vibrate maybe 700, 800 at best, like Bach flower remedies and things like that, flowers and some plants and a lot of herbs and things like that. They vibrate higher frequencies, essential oils, you know, um, that kind of stuff. So, but we also are vibrating beings too, and we vibrate between uh, 62 to 70 on a good day. Most people, I would say, most people right now are not vibrating that high. I would say you're vibrating a lot lower than that. Okay, so when I'm going to show you how crystals help you raise your vibration, because you do need to do that now. This is very important to raise our vibration as far as we can. So this is one way to do it is using crystals. So all matter has an oscillatory rate. All right. Because crystals have a repeating atomic structure, their rates are very precise. Okay, so they always vibrate at that particular frequency. Now, these rates are pretty precise, and they're called dominant oscillatory rates, or DOR. Which we're in the science realm right now, so we're gonna get acronyms. So DOR. So your DOR is the dominant oscillatory rate of any object, any being, anything that's matter will have an oscillatory rate. Okay, so the rates don't vary very much at all, and they're resistant to entropy. Now, entropy is not an acronym, but it is a word. It's a scientific word, and entropy is the tendency to fall into chaos or disorganization. Like my desk here, I also pile some stuff on both sides of me. So, in any case, um, entropy is the ability or the tendency to fall into chaos or disorganization. Okay, that's why, like when you go to an old forest and you've got moss and lichen and mushrooms growing on old trees that have fallen hundreds of years ago, and you can see the outline of the body, but the whole tree is just completely disintegrated because it's just that old, and so you see that tendency to fall into chaos. So it all everything's recycling, but it looks messy, and it's decomposing, and that's what I mean. So we have DORs, or dominant oscillatory rates, all over our bodies. Okay, but altogether we have an average, and I think I mentioned that before, 62 to 70. But if you're not feeling that great, you're probably not vibrating um, that high. So what happens to our frequencies? Okay, now uh, our DORs are not stable. Like we are very, very susceptible to entropy, not like a crystal. Crystal can maintain its frequency around much different energy frequencies, and so they are not susceptible to picking up energies that don't really affect them because they're very stable. So, but we aren't. So, any kind of stress, you know, work stress, emotional stress, anything, stress in general can screw up our DORs. So, what happens to our frequency? It changes or entrains. Okay, so um, okay, so what that means is, and train, and this is another science word, and this is where this is exactly how crystals help. So I want you to be aware that this is a very important statement that I'm going to make here. Now, and train means to uh, our frequency aligns with the other frequency that we come in contact with. Now, entrainment can go up or down. It depends on the, well, no, it can never go down. It always goes up. Excuse me. I apologize for that. What that means is that, let's say you have, I'm vibrating at about 62 megahertz, right? And I want to feel a little bit better. So I grab a crystal that's vibrating at 32,000 plus piece of quartz, a big piece of quartz. Now, when you're using crystals for healing, size really does matter. And so you want to get the crystals that are um, the biggest ones that you can afford. I know I've said this before um, in some of my other videos, that you really do, because the larger they are, or if you have a lot of little ones of all the same, you can put all those little ones together, and that will also boost the energy of the crystals by having lots of little ones. So if you have, like, say, an inch and a half piece of rock, and then you've got, say, 7 or 8 little crystals, that's about the same. That's good enough. So if you had that lying around, that would help. So you don't have to invest a whole lot of stuff um, in, in crystals if you have those, but you do need to have a lot, like a, a a good amount of size a piece for it to affect you. So um, So when we hold on to a quartz crystal that's vibrating at 32,000 plus megahertz, and we're only vibrating at 62, okay, what happens is we entrain with the quartz crystal. See, energy never goes down. It never loses. It always, amplifies, or it changes, but it never dissipates. Okay, so we are always going to, or the lower energy will always try to entrain, or always will entrain with the higher vibration. So when I hold on to 32,000 plus crystal, and I hold on to it for, say, 20, 30 minutes, right, my vibration is going to go up, right, because my body is in training with the crystal. And it also affects your DNA. Your DNA entrains with it also, which is very, very healing. So that's why it's, really important, if you're going to do some kind of healing and you have some quartz crystals, you can just hold them, right here on your chest if you want, and just, pour some love into it, and ask it for it to send you some healing energy. And, you know, I am sure that it would be very happy to do so, because they love us and they want to help us heal. So, so that's several things that you can do. Now, oops, there we go. Okay. So what I do want to tell you is that, even though they're really good healers, okay, crystals are not magic rocks. Okay, you just can't get a crystal for this and a crystal for that, and then, maybe you have an acquaintance, or a friend, or significant other that always does something that pisses you off, so they don't fix out everything for you. I mean, you really can't use them like that. But what they do is they amplify the time it takes for your body to heal itself. So when you work with crystals, you're just enhancing that. You're at the energy because you're raising your energy with the crystals, then your body has a better chance of healing itself. Okay, because it's vibrating at a higher frequency. See, the lower you vibrate, let me give you a couple examples. If you have a cold or you're sick with a stomach flu or something like that, you're going to vibrate at about 55 megahertz. Okay, so you get sick, your vibration goes down. Remember, 62 to 70 is about average for a healthy adult. Okay, if you have a debilitating disease, all right, I'm not going to name any of them, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, you're going to vibrate at about 40 megahertz. And then if your body is ready to cross over, then you're going to start vibrating at 20 and you're going to go down from there. So the higher you vibrate, the healthier your body will become. So that's why it's really important, if you're going to on a healing journey and you're doing other things that, help your body heal, then add crystals to them. Enhance your healing journey with them. That's, the most important thing about using crystals is asking them to help you, and they're here for us. They love us so much. You have no idea. Sometimes people just think they're just a bunch of pretty rocks, but they have amazing, powerful energy, and they want to help us. And they're just, I believe they're crystalline beings, well, crystalline, but I also believe that they're light beings because of all of the different structures. And if you look behind me, you're going to see Metatron's cube, and you're going to see the octagons and the pentagons, and the heptagons, and all that, and Merkaba's. So those are all crystalline structures, but they're also sacred geometry. So it's really important, the tie that you have with physics and chemistry and 3D Earth and different solid objects that we have here. Crystals they're solid objects. You can pick them up, you can hold them, and they have weight, and they're some of them can be very hard. Okay, but you understand that they vibrate so fast. That's why they use quartz crystals in every electronic device known to man, because quartz crystals, well, they make synthetic quartz crystals, it's the same thing, silicon dioxide, and they vibrate such a specific frequency that that's why they're used in all the electronic devices, because the devices can depend on them. Because see, what happens is when you either heat a quartz crystal or you pound it like using physical pressure, it will create a spark. So that means that it creates electricity either way. So you have piezoelectric, which is when you pound on it, like boom, 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 boom. Like, have you ever seen a man wear a quartz watch and they shake their wrist? Okay, that's what they're doing is they're winding their watch up, because they're winding up the little spring, so the spring starts hitting the quartz crystal at like really high frequencies to stimulate it to run the quartz movements. So that's what it's doing. And then in a lot of other devices, and I'm not sure which ones are being used in, but they also heat their quartz up. So quartz, it becomes pyroelectric, and it also creates a spark and creates electricity as well. So it's pyroelectric and it's piezoelectric. So it's just amazing, interesting. Uh, the crystal world, and there's so much more to know. And I just love the science, because the science just backs up the metaphysical. And I just know in my heart that there's such a huge connection between the two. And I know that the old ancient cultures, they all had their really high technologies, and they also were very much into the crystals, using the quartzes and all the other minerals that they could glean from the earth. So that's it for my lesson. Actually, it was a little bit short, but that's okay. I just wanted to give you a little bit of science to back up all this movie stuff. A lot of people. one time I was at a show. This was before we had our shop, and this guy walked by, and of course, I think he was a geologist, or he was into a rock club, but they weren't into the metaphysical. They were into the collecting and that kind of stuff. And so he comes up to my table and he goes, "You believe in all this?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "How about if I give you a science lesson?" So I told him about entrainment. I told him, about quartz crystal and that kind of stuff. And he looked at me and he goes, "Well, that's what you believe," and he walks off because there was nothing he could say. I just put it out there. So, in any case, next week we have two more classes, and next week I'm going to teach you about how to make a gem water or a gem elixir. Now, please, before the class, do not go plunking rocks into your water. Get them out of your aquarium. Don't put them in the turtle bowl. Don't put them in your dog bowl until you watch the class. Okay, please, because most rocks are toxic. Most crystals are toxic. They have elements in them that make them that, like aluminum and arsenic and antimony and lead. So a lot of them have those elements in them. So please wait until you see my class next week, and then because I want to talk to you, and you can go look up toxic chemicals toxic minerals on the internet. You just go whatever browser you use, just put in toxic minerals, and you'll get several websites that will come up with lists. I know Hibiscus Moon has a really good list. That's one of the ones that I use for checking, and then there's a couple other ones that are really good. So I definitely recommend that you do that before or just at least get the list. And then I'll show you how to make a gem water with any toxic stone, so that you don't have to worry about making, putting them directly in the water. It's called the indirect method. I'm going to teach that next week. And then my final class is just about developing your intuition and choosing your crystals. So we'll learn different methods on choosing your crystals. And then we're going to learn about how to open up your third eye and develop intuition. I'll give you a few techniques that you can use. Um, and then and that will be my last class. So my class was supposed to end, classes were supposed to end next week, but I was ill last week, so I couldn't make it, so I had to push them back. So the final class is going to be 2 weeks from now. So 16 is at the 23rd. So that's the one about intuition and choosing crystals. So thank you so much for coming into Nature's Alchemy, where we explored natural healing with crystals, plants, and herbalism, and the many ways that Mother Earth provides for healing and well-being. And again, this is Karen Squillante.